Kane and Abel by Jeffrey Archer.
Part 1, 1906 to 1923. Chapter 1, April 18, 1906, Swanim, Poland. She only stopped screaming when she died. It was then that he started to scream. The young boy who was hunting rabbits in the forest was not sure whether it was the woman's last cry or the child's first that alerted his youthful ears. He turned, sensing possible danger, his eyes searching for an animal that was obviously in pain. But he had never known an animal to scream in quite that way before. He edged towards the noise cautiously. The scream had now turned to a whine, but it still did not sound like any animal he knew. He hoped it would be small enough to kill. At least that would make a change from rabbit for dinner. He moved stealthily towards the river, where the strange noise came from, darting from tree to tree, feeling the protection of the bark against his shoulder blades, something to touch. Never stay in the open, his father had taught him. When he reached the edge of the forest, he had a clear line of vision all the way down the valley to the river, and even then it took him some time to realize that the strange cry emanated from no ordinary animal. He crept towards the whining, even though he was now out in the open. Then he saw the woman, her dress above her waist, her bare legs splayed. He had never seen a woman like that before. He ran quickly to her side and stared down at her belly, too frightened to touch. Lying between the woman's legs was a small pink animal, covered in blood and attached to her by something that looked like rope. The young hunter dropped his freshly caught rabbits and fell to his knees beside the little creature. He gazed at it for a long, stunned moment, then turned his eyes to the woman. He immediately regretted the decision. She was already blue with cold. Her tired young face looked middle-aged to the boy. He did not need to be told that she was dead. He picked up the slippery little body that lay on the grass between her legs. Had you asked him why, and no one ever did, he would have told you that the tiny fingernails, clawing at the crumpled face, had worried him. The mother and child were bound together by the slimy rope. The boy had watched the birth of a lamb a few days earlier, and he tried to remember. Yes, that's what the shepherd had done. But dare he, with a child? The whining suddenly stopped, and he sensed that a decision was now urgent. He unsheathed his knife, the one he skinned rabbits with, wiped it on his sleeve, and, hesitating only for a moment, cut the rope close to the child's body. Blood flowed freely from the severed ends. Then what had the shepherd done when the lamb was born? He had tied a knot to stop the blood. Of course. The boy pulled some long grass out of the earth beside him and hastily tied a crude knot in the cord. Then he took the child in his arms. It started to cry again. He rose slowly from his knees, leaving behind him 3 dead rabbits and a dead woman who had given birth to this child. Before finally turning his back on the mother, he put her legs together and pulled her dress down over her knees. It seemed the right thing to do. "Holy God," he said aloud, the thing he always said when he had done something very good or very bad. He wasn't yet sure which this was. The young hunter ran towards the cottage where his mother would be cooking supper, waiting only for his rabbits. Everything else would be prepared. She would be wondering how many he'd caught today. With a family of 8 to feed, she needed at least 3. Sometimes he managed a duck, a goose, or even a pheasant that had strayed from the baron's estate, on which his father worked. Tonight he had caught a different animal. When he reached the cottage, he didn't dare let go of his prize, even with one hand, so he kicked at the door with his bare foot until his mother opened it. Silently, he held up the child to her. She made no immediate move to take the creature from him, but stood, one hand